what did you think of the Billy Break plant format in late 2011?
Yeah, I enjoyed that format. The combos were fun, and if you were playing that deck, then you usually had the deck advantage. It was a time when online play was the Wild West, so I had like a 90% win rate or higher on Dueling Network playing his deck. You certainly could not do that today because people have gotten better on average. But yeah, it was a pretty fun deck and a pretty fun format to me.
All right, cool. Good answer. Uh, what did you think about Order of Chaos and its support for windups and insectors? Did it completely change the game, and was it too powerful?
Order of Chaos with Wind Up and Inzectors definitely transformed the game. Uh, it created a great number of fun scenarios where that's all well in every card game, but that particular format, that season was a time where the number of scenarios.
Sorry, you were cutting out for like half of that question. So it's
Oh,
it's fine. Could you just? I know it's unfortunate. I mean, unfortunately, I can't like do anything about the fact that we're on opposite ends of the world. So can you just start
yeah.
your answer start your answer over for that question? Your answer sounded like it was good. It's just that
Okay.
a couple of words got dropped there.
Okay. Really transformed the game. Issues with non-interactive scenarios, but those two decks greatly increased the average number of non-interactive scenarios per match, and it made the game a lot more stressful for players, including myself.
Okay, cool. So, third question. Did it surprise you when TGs won YCS Atlanta 2012? Was the deck good or did it just get lucky? And do you think that it needed to be nerfed?
I think we were all surprised when TGs won, but it's one of those you go back in hindsight and read the lists that top the event, and you realize that the combo decks weren't citing a sufficient number of spell trap removal. Today they do, but just back then we didn't know any better. So there was luck, and there also wasn't. Like there was luck in the sense that the champion wasn't making some divine read. Like he didn't choose TGs because he knew that nobody was citing back, not citing backroad removal. He chose it because that's just the deck that he was already playing. So that part was lucky. The part that I think was not lucky was that it just happened to be a great meta call because nobody was citing the Dust Tornadoes or the third MST, etc. For all those floodgates. So it was a good time for TGs to make their stand. But hitting it was not necessary because it was simply a matter of the player base was just going to learn how to side better afterwards, and that would have taken care of the matchup on its own.
Okay, cool. So, what do you think about the ban list that was released after this event? It didn't touch any of the top three decks at all, those being Windups, Insectors, and Rescue Rabbit. So, was that a mistake?
The March list pressured players to purchase more of Konami's newer product. And whether it was a mistake or not depends on whose perspective you're looking from. I mean, from Konami's perspective, they got what they wanted out of the list. It's, purely a sales push right there.
Okay. So so did you read the articles that I sent you about the like Kevin
Yep.
Stewart's explanation?
Yep.
Okay, great. So, what do you think about those articles? Do you think that players reacted well to this?
So the reasoning in the articles is generally agreeable, with the exception of the wind up and rabbit segments, which I see as Konami just making up excuses. To my earlier point, they want their newest product, to sell, and so they have to make up reasons to not hit their latest products. There is a grain of truth to their point about hitting decks because they aren't doing well yet. But based on my own interactions with Konami, it seems like they tend to add too much weight to win percentage and factor in lopsided interactions less than most players want. So what I mean by that is that if a deck is degenerate but not dominant, Konami tends to look over it a little bit longer than players wish.
Okay, cool. So do you continue, or sorry, did you continue to play current format Yu-Gi-Oh after 2012? Do you think that you can enjoy Yu-Gi-Oh even when Konami makes mistakes with the game's balance or does something that you don't want?
I did continue to play during this time. I would say that I still enjoy the game because every format has lessons that you can learn from it. But I do recall that being a more stressful time due to the lopsided interactions.
Okay. So next, your favorite question here. Have you ever heard of Duelist Grounds and what do you think of it?
Yes, I was an active member of Duelist Grounds, and initially it was a place where I was able to improve because some of the better players were active there on the time, at the time. But as time went on, it became apparent that the output to input ratio for participation was no longer favorable for me because eventually you just talk to people you want to talk to directly, and it doesn't make sense to post your secrets on the forum. I do feel pretty strongly about the culture of Duelist Grounds. There was a lot of hive mentality, and people weren't willing to put in the work, and rather they would just kind of emotionally agree with whatever they felt was the dominant opinion of the time. And I do have a handful of examples. A couple being like one was when I said Gores wasn't good in 2014 Light Sworns, and everyone just downvoted me without testing it. But if you just tested a whole bunch, you'll find that I was right. Another one was, I told someone to get better at the Dragon Ruler mirror, and they countered that the Dragon Ruler mirror was luck based. And then they provided a video of Rodrigo Togores playing a mirror to back up their claim. But the problem was, if you watch the match, the match outcome actually came down to who had the more minute, detailed experiences. Like those little edges that they could get in the mirror to dominate. And so Rodrigo played slightly better, and he won. But everyone upvoted his comment because he gave an opinion and then linked a link, and no one bothered to watch it. No one bothered to analyze it. They just agreed because he posted a source, and this was very representative of like what was common on Duelist Grounds back then. Was people would bandwagon onto whatever opinion was given, especially if a link was provided without any thoughtful analysis or testing or doing the work themselves. And then of course there was the case of Mike Steinman was a very popular poster and central figure in that community, so of course he could do no wrong. But then as time went on, this guy that everyone defended eventually came out to be one of the most notorious cheaters in the history of the game. So just one of those things where lies were able to persist because of the bandwagon effect, and people were, I felt, were just very intellectually lazy. Same with like the Jin gate issue with Pat. People were so heated and name calling and pointing fingers. But when I came from a neutral perspective and asked people to give their reasoning for what their complaint was about that strategy, they doubled down with their emotional language. No effort was made to actually provide their reasoning for their position, and so just a lot of just bandwagoning and narcissism. And I'll fully admit that while I was an active member of the community, I became a narcissist myself, and I'm grateful to say that I've shed that identity. But yeah, it's a place where a lot of people are very wrong, but they're also better than average compared to other communities. So that makes them more sure about their opinion even when they're wrong, and that just is very conducive to narcissism. And I was a part of that myself, so I'm not saying I'm any better than them, but yeah, it was not a great place to be frank.
Yeah, I like the part that you said about the bandwagoning and narcissism. So yeah, good answer. So on a happier note, why do you like goat format?
I like Go format because in any given game or match, there are, on average, a lot more opportunities to earn advantage over the opponent through having a greater and deeper set of experience. Unfortunately, this has become less true lately at the tournament level because everyone's catching up, which is why I generally prefer to play unranked in a more casual way.
Okay, so are you surprised at how much goat format and its revival has grown from 2012 until today?
I'm not surprised that GOAT format has exploded in popularity. What I see is that there are four key drivers that have really pushed it into a place of popularity. First is that people who were very well respected proposed the idea in the first place. So you got to have some strong voices backing the community. Second is that it's a quality format. As I mentioned, there's lots of opportunities to get an edge on your opponent. So it has that intellectual reward. And then third, it has an emotional reward as well because a lot of older players have that nostalgia for GOAT format. And then fourth, the infrastructure is fantastic. I mean, you look at how the community is run and the people whose labor goes into making it happen. It's just so well organized, and so whenever you have good systems in place, then people are going to want to participate.
Okay, great. Yeah, that's all the questions, and I think you gave very thoughtful answers. So, thanks for taking the time to help me out.